So welcome to the Research Clusters Town Hall, where we'll hear from a new research cluster. We will hear from a few research clusters that have been started and going, since about last spring. And in the winter time, we'll actually highlight a couple of our other research clusters. So just to start, I am going to introduce our director of the Office of Research, Ken Sylvester, to say a few words about our research clusters. Ken?
Thank you, Heather. Welcome everybody to the Research Clusters Town Hall. As you probably know, you've responded with lots of energy to this effort to mobilize our shared strengths across the departments, schools, colleges, centers, and institutes on our campus to build collaboration in areas of strategic importance to the campus and to the region. So you'll hear about 3 of those clusters today from the leaders of those groups, and hopefully it will spark some additional interest. Support for the clusters and their activities is provided by the Chancellor's Office in coordination with ORED. Each cluster will continue to actively develop its plans, its meetings, seminars, invited speakers, new training, proposal writing efforts for connecting researchers with each other around big challenges, and as well as with community and industry partners and pursuit of external funding. The clusters are a great way to get to know your colleagues. We've been hearing endlessly in discussions that people are discovering all kinds of new things about each other since we started these clusters. And let me turn things over to Chancellor Dutta to offer some opening thoughts as well.
Sure, thank you, Ken, and thank you, Heather, and welcome everyone. It's a pleasure to be able to join this research cluster. And I was thinking about this as Ken was speaking and Heather was introducing the event. It's been a real amazing progress. It's been, what, 12 to 14 months, and we are ready to announce the 5th research cluster. I mean, this is really, really energizing, and it speaks to the fact that the institution has faculty members who are really interested in moving scholarship forward. And as Ken mentioned, the research, the clusters are bringing faculty together to get to know each other, to cross boundaries, if you will, to cross disciplinary boundaries and think about how new problems can be formulated, the impact of those problems once we make some progress, and how does it impact the community that we are in. So it's really, it's fantastic. I'm so pleased. And the one that we are announcing that Heather is going to speak about. So all the research clusters, the 4 that we already have, they are across disciplinary boundaries, some more than others, but they are all trying best to bring people from other disciplines in, because that's what makes it interesting, new problems and so forth. But the new one, which you will hear from Heather, this is probably the one that will cut across all 6 schools and colleges, because it is on pedagogy. And University of Michigan Flint, primarily a teaching institution, but we have strong faculty in scholarship. So for us to focus on pedagogy as a research topic and think of how it evolves, how might it evolve in the world of EdTech, which we are seeing so much now in the pandemic, is very exciting. And the last thing I'll say is these research, the clusters, as Ken mentioned, yes, it's being funded by the Chancellor's Office, and I'm saying I'm very pleased to fund it. But we do know that several of these will be very competitive for external grants, but there will be ones that will not be, because the funding in those areas is not there as much as it is in other areas. So, but the Chancellor's Office will continue to fund those areas, because what we are interested in is to strengthen our research enterprise. If that brings in external funds, good. If it is supported by internal funds, that's fine too, because at the end of the day, it informs our teaching. It impacts undergraduate students as much as graduate students. It gets them the opportunity to engage with faculty in interesting projects. So this helps us in the retention. It helps us in the recruitment of new students. So it all comes together. It is all interrelated. And I just want to compliment Heather and Ken and ORED in general for making the amount of progress they have made in the short span of 18 months. So thank you very much. And I'm eagerly looking forward to hearing from the three leaders of the research cluster. Thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor. We appreciate that. And I know we're all very excited about some of the research that's going on across the campus. And we do also want to mention that if you have any questions as we go through the town hall, please provide the questions in the Q&A or even in the chat is fine as well. We knew we had these clusters that already existed, and we knew as this teaching focused university that we are in, we needed to have a cluster around the scholarship of teaching. And so we were really excited when we heard from Kazuko Hiramatsu. She was in a group that was inspired by the visit from Peter Felton to campus. I know there was a lot of activity around the things that he was saying that really resonated with a lot of people, and thinking about how they can reach out to students and have that feeling of mattering in students. So I won't take Kazuko's thunder away in announcing her title of her new cluster or anything like that, but I do want to introduce her. You know, she is an associate professor of linguistics. She's a consultant on a National Science Foundation grant that focuses on the scholarship of teaching. So I think she's very perfect for this role. And she'll talk about the cluster. They're just getting started, right? What their plans are and who their members are and what the cluster is all about. So I'll hand it over to you, Kazuko. Thank you.
Okay, hello. Thank you, Chancellor Dutta, Heather, and Ken for your support of this research cluster and for the opportunity to share our plans at this town hall. Suzanne Knight and I were initially inspired by the work of Bettina Love, Peter Felton, and Leo Lambert in thinking about persistence and mattering in undergraduate education and structuring a research cluster around this theme. Because of changes in administrative responsibilities, Suzanne has had to step back from co-leading the research cluster, but I wanted to note her integral role in co-planning this work. There is ample research that points to the connection between persistence and mattering and undergraduate student success. Our hope is that the studies from the PMUE research cluster will advance the scholarship of teaching and learning around this theme and contribute to larger conversations about persistence and mattering for students at regional urban institutions like ours, especially those who are first generation or from a minoritized population or are transfer students. UM-Flint faculty and staff are already engaged in a number of different persistence and mattering projects that explore the factors and conditions that support undergraduate student success. This research cluster brings these existing projects and initiatives together under one umbrella to advance the research goals of each and to identify potential connections. And that's where we're really excited for this cluster to be forming. By providing space, time, and support for dialogue and community, we hope to better coordinate research efforts and the dissemination of our work. The webpage for our research cluster provides details about our current projects and who is currently involved, but I want to take a moment to highlight some some themes here. One approach to exploring persistence and mattering is through what the American Association of Colleges and Universities identifies as high impact practices and pedagogies. These practices have been widely tested and have been widely tested and identified to be beneficial for college students from a broad range of backgrounds. Many of our instructors intentionally integrate these high impact practices in their courses already, and so it makes sense to start here as part of our exploration of persistence and mattering on our campus. A team of CAS faculty in collaboration with Tracy Racker and the TCLT has been exploring signature assignments for the past 4 years, and will be studying e-portfolios this year through an AAC&U institute. Another example, like Heather mentioned, some first-year experience in course instructors had been exploring how to integrate relationship-rich education last summer into their FYE sections. There's also a new set of Mellon grant-funded FYEs that will be focusing on engaging with students around global questions. Learning communities are another high impact practice that we can start studying on our campus. For example, the gender and sexuality theme community that's being developed in partnership between the Center for Gender and Sexuality and faculty from the Women's and Gender Studies program. And then finally, there are many instructors on campus who regularly integrate service learning and a community-based learning into their courses. So we've got this lovely set of high impact practices that are already happening that can be a source of great information. A second strategy for exploring persistence and mattering is through intentional course and curriculum design, and throughout that process, how this works. This might be at the instructor level, such as a TCLT sponsored group that's been critically reflecting on equity-minded and decolonized teaching through weekly meetings this semester. And they'll be presenting their work at a TCLT workshop in December. We can also look at larger curriculum design initiatives, such as the CAS group developing a liberal arts certificate with support from the TECO grant, and education faculty who are studying anti-racist and anti-bias curricula. And finally, our campus has many advising and mentoring programs, as well as co-curricular events through both student and academic affairs. All of these initiatives are designed to support undergraduate student success and provide rich opportunities for insights about persistence and mattering. I'll end with an invitation to all faculty and staff who are interested in studying persistence and mattering in undergraduate education. We'd love to have you join us at our December meeting. So if you're looking for studying this in community with colleagues, we hope you'll join us. And there's my contact information and a short link to our research cluster page.
Thank you, Kazuko. Was everybody able to get that? Maybe you could provide
sorry.
that information. No, maybe you could just provide it in the chat as well.
In the chat.
Yeah, just in case people weren't able to get that down in enough time. Thank you. And that was like the first that I've heard of at least some of the plans of this cluster. And it was just very exciting to see all of the things that you're doing and all of the people that are involved. And certainly, like Kazuko said, there is the ability to join any of these research clusters that resonate with you at any time. So you can reach out to the cluster leaders individually. You can reach out to ORED if you have any questions about what things might involve, or also, of course, those cluster leaders that you, there are cluster leaders that are even participants in other clusters, right? So there's no a restriction on how many you can be a part of if you so wish. So thank you, Kazuka. I really appreciate that. So next we're going to hear from the leader of our Racial, Economic, and Environmental Justice cluster. So they work very closely with our Urban Institute for Racial, Economic, and Environmental Justice. This is led by Toko Oshio. She was recently highlighted actually in Michigan Research for her work, the Provider Empowerment Program, which I hope she'll talk about too when she speaks. If not, that's okay. You can actually go and you can find it in the ORAD newsletter that was just sent out or the Michigan Research. And if you can't find it, we will find it for you. You can always contact us. She is an assistant professor of education, right? That's still, yeah, okay. So soon it will be different. You'll have the associate next to your name, but assistant professor of education. And welcome, Toko, thank you. And we look forward to hearing from you and what your cluster has been doing and what your plans are. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather and Chancellor Dada and Ken and Michaela also running this town hall. And also thank you everybody coming today. So I wanted to give some updates about our research cluster. And then also I wanted to share some of the things, what we have learned within this about a year. We started in January. So that's I wanted to focus today. So let me share my slide. This is URL for our research cluster, but as Heather mentioned, all the research cluster website is under ORAD. So I hope you can find our information. And then basically the information that I'm providing today is all in our website, thanks to Michaela, constantly updating our website. So I really, really appreciate your hard work. So as Heather mentioned, we research cluster work very closely with Avon Institute for Racial Economic Environmental Justice to examine racial, economic, and environment inequalities, equalities especially in the community. So as you see, the name is the same. So some people might confuse about, is it Avon Institute or research cluster? So today I actually really wanted to try to explain how things are working. So hopefully I can clear some confusion. So basically this research cluster is for the community and for the people in the community. And so with people in the community, and then connecting to the expertise of our faculty. So research cluster is really, we are as a group not trying to solve some of the issue altogether. However, actually each member has their own project going on, and then also the idea, but what the common thread in this research cluster is that we work for, we aim to remove the barriers and success and uncover the ways in people in minoritized community can be empowered. And so it's really cultivating the idea of social justice. And right now, we really focus on two approaches. One is a human-centered design, and then also community-based participatory research, CBPR. So since January 2020, we have ongoing project. Each faculty as a cluster member has already have that project going on in the community of Flint. And the first one is a Flint Kids Read, Dr. Chad Waldron being involved this since water crisis, and Dr. Kim Dr. Kim and Groden, they are conducting community health and stress among Flint residents. And then also the project Heather mentioned, the Provider Empowerment Program, which is led by me and Dr. Kupperman. And then also, while we have ongoing project, we have been involved in a number of grant submission. And through the process, yes, some cluster members are doing their own submission. And also we do working on the grant submission, working very closely, collaborating with the Alvin Institute. So I hope I try to, visualize it. And so here we have the research cluster member and research cluster lead. Currently, it's me. And here we have the maize color box is the Alvin Institute. So my job currently, what I'm doing is really connecting research cluster members' interest into some of the initiatives happening at Alvin Institute. Alvin Institute, not just writing the grant proposal or submitting, under the direction of Dr. Jen Foreman and the Nate McLean, they are doing so many things, internship students, undergraduate students, internship program, talking with the people in the community. They are doing a number of things. And a part of it, they also writing, submitting the grants. And then when our research cluster members' interests align, I kind of connect, almost like connecting or matchmaking, and then they will work with the research team. And those research team, like Heather mentioned, it's really cross clusters. So one of the initiatives happening about health, we do have a number of research cluster members from aging cluster, and also Ben and I working on some human-centered design initiative with some new faculty from College of Innovation Technology to tackle with through human-centered design. So it's really cross cluster and also cross campus. In the near future, we are planning to provide open workshops for faculty and the students, focusing on those two things, human-centered design and community-based research, participatory research. So I hope that some of the people today joining us, will participate in those workshops. And then also, if you have any research interests that really align with what we are doing, please let me know so that I might be able to connect to your interest in some of the initiatives happening. And then also any question or comments or suggestion, please contact me. So thank you.
Thank you, Toko. That was wonderful. So it's nice to see how we have these clusters that are aligned with these other initiatives, right? And so it was really nice to hear from you and what you guys have been doing and what some of your plans are. And in speaking of clusters aligned with other sort of initiatives, I'll introduce the arts and culture cluster. Well, at least the leader, he'll actually talk about the cluster itself. But this cluster works closely with arts and culture organizations in Flint. It's led by Ben Gatos. He's an associate professor of design, and he's involved in all kinds of things in Flint and Detroit. Good, which is an interdisciplinary design studio, the founding editor of Flint Magazine. And, you just need to get an email from Ben and look at his signature line, and you can go down some really cool things that are happening that he's involved in. But I'm going to turn it over to Ben to talk about what they've been up to and what their plans are. Ben.
Thanks, Heather. Yeah, I've really been considering that maybe I should trim down that that signature line. It's getting a little long. Let me share my screen here. Not my desktop, because that would be embarrassing. Let's see. Okay, can everyone see that? Perfect. Okay, so thanks, Heather. Thanks, Ken and Chancellor Dutta, especially for supporting these research clusters. It's incredibly exciting. Let's see. So the Arts and Culture Research Cluster, was really formed out of a desire to spark connections, between U of M-Flint and a lot of organizations, arts organizations, large and small, from like the cultural center to smaller galleries and cultural groups, to really start a dialogue. And I think the thing that is this simple thing that's kind of our focus is the and in arts and culture, and we really kind of like think about the and or the ampersand as this plus, this way of connecting the university and something else, or connecting two groups of people together, or things like that, artists and researchers. And so that's kind of our driving force. Here's our current research cluster membership. We always are welcoming and open to anyone across the university to join us. We have a great team of research assistants and associates. I want to particularly give a shout out to Casella, who is Casella Materi, who's an arts administration master's student. She's really kind of central in helping us move along, and I'm really grateful for the support for those research assistants and associates. So our main themes are Flint history and culture, public art, creative placemaking, public history, social justice, social practice art, urban history, and creative entrepreneurship. We are really kind of grounded in this idea that art is involved in creating change, and we're excited to be part of that change in Flint. Our three kind of areas of focus are interdisciplinary dialogue, that's between faculty and our colleagues, but also outwardly engage in dialogue beyond campus. Local impact for civic engagement, and collaborative opportunities and initiatives. And so when we reach out to partners, it's not us telling them that what we're doing, it's saying, what do you need? How can we support you? What could an institution like the university bring to what you're already doing? And so that's been really kind of exciting to take that kind of approach. And that approach is a network, right? So we're helping to develop this network. When we started off, a little under a year ago, we were really looking at like what kind of culture assets are in Flint already. And these are just a small number of the organizations that we've been working with and reaching out to. And again, that ranges from kind of the cultural behemoths of the cultural center, the FIA, FIM, Sloan Museum, so on and so forth, to kind of some smaller organizations, businesses like Comic Book Store and the Neighborhood Engagement Hub. One of the projects that we're focusing on is developing an app to drive those connections, a programming app. And maybe some of you have heard of What's Up Downtown, which I think was launched about a year ago, but a really wonderful resource, a calendar of events that's going on. It's curated by the Flint's chief placemaker in residence, I believe. And so we approached them and said, hey, we want to do something similar to what you guys are doing, but instead of having people go to the web, we're really interested in utilizing the computers that are in our pockets all the time. And so, pushing content and events to the user. And so one of our members, Andy Deck, is working with research assistants and associates to develop, and with What's Up Downtown, to develop an app that will do that, that will engage people in the region, to keep them better informed, and hopefully even, you know, bring some heightened interest in the arts and culture on campus as well, and drive people to campus. This is a prototype of what that could possibly look like. Still very much in the prototyping stage. Another one of our initiatives is a residency program, kind of a two-tiered residency program. This is Ash Arter, our 2021-2022 artist in residence, which was a really exciting partnership with University Musical Society, UMS, in Ann Arbor. They reached out, you know, it was actually something that we already had in mind that we had kind of put into our budget, was to create a Flint-based residency program. So for someone from Flint or someone living in Flint, and UMS was really excited about that too, and had an idea similar to really support artists and creative culture makers in Flint. And so our first one is Ash Arter for this year, and we're really excited about the work that Ash does. She was born and raised in Flint. She's a graduate of U of M in Ann Arbor and the internationally renowned Cranbrook Academy of Arts, which is in Bloomfield Hills. And Ash is doing some really interesting work that investigates and reimagines the relationship between people and their natural environment. She uses sound, she uses solar energy. The project that she's going to be developing while in residence is a solar-powered mobile sound unit that, once completed, will travel to neighborhoods in Flint to be used as a mobile storytelling and music-making studio. A couple things coming up. Ash will be doing a sound making workshop with high school students at Burson Field House. So that's that kind of connection that we've developed with our partners. And here we have somebody who can bring something to the table that they may not be able to offer there. And Ash will be having a career talk about what it's like to be a working artist with U of M Flint students on December 6th. So if you are interested in getting your students to that, please reach out to me and I will make sure that they can take part. So because of that, the UMS partnership, we were able to redirect some of our funds to an emerging artist fellowship, which is really exciting as well. That's a partnership with Buckham Fine Arts Project. And it's really taking a more mentorship-based approach. So a young artist will get a $1,500 stipend and $1,000 to support new work. And the artists that are involved with Buckham Fine Arts Project and faculty at U of M Flint will mentor. And I should also say Ash Arter has agreed to take on a mentorship role too with this emerging artist. We'll be providing guidance and tools for personal and artistic growth, and engage in the artistic creative practice with Flint-based artists, U of M Flint students, faculty, and staff. And that deadline is Monday. So if you know of any young or emerging artists, encourage them to go to go.umflint.edu/emerging artists to apply. And then one of the things that we are kind of an initiative that came up was out of these residency programs is, where is this artist going to work? And we in the Fine and Performing Arts department have been eyeing this lovely storefront space in the North Bank Center right here, 400 Saginaw, just right by Riverbank Park, that has been vacant for several years. And we were just thinking, like, this would be a beautiful gallery or a beautiful space to create and engage the public. And so we're excited to say that is happening. So we're creating a public-facing studio for the artists in residence for Ash and the emerging artist. And it will also provide space for faculty to present public lectures, chamber performances, recitals, and as a gallery to display student exhibitions, and an exhibition space too for faculty and guest artists' work. And what's really nice about this, and what I'm really excited about with the research cluster is, here we have this storefront that's on Saginaw Street, so it connects to the downtown. It's on U of M-Flint's campus, so it's part of this academic institution, and it points across the street to Carriagetown, where there's innovation, where the birthplace of GM and innovation. And next to that is also a factory too, a partner of ours. And so it kind of connects these various realms of art, commerce, or entrepreneurship, and research and innovation. And I think that's what I'm really hoping this space could become in the long term. We have at least till May, but we're hoping that can be extended. And we're also doing cultural programming. And like I said, when we have reached out to with our community partners, we ask, what would you be interested in doing? And part of that is what we're calling the "and" series. And so, the idea is that we would have a monthly lecture series held in various locations. We're going to be doing a workshop at the FIA with one of their artists who is exhibiting in the winter. We did a printmaking workshop with a Buckham artist in September, who worked with students and local artists to explore a new process of printmaking, which was really exciting. We're going to be doing a lecture at Comma and a bookmaking workshop that's related to that on campus after the lecture, before or after the lecture. And then we're also thinking to the future. So what kind of more a larger event, like a biennial, that again could combine the research, innovation, arts, culture, and commerce into something that could have some impact in Flint. And so that's what we're working on. It's a lot of moving parts, but it's really exciting to see it coming together. Our next meeting is December 1st, and you can reach out to me at gatus@umich.edu, and you can find out more about us on the UMFlint.edu research cluster, arts and culture research cluster website, which is right there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. That was awesome. You guys are doing so much. And I guess I had a question too, like all of the stuff that Ash will be doing while she's here, is that going to be pushed out to campus? I know you said like if students wanted to be involved in that workshop she was doing with students to contact you, but like if there are other like public facing stuff she's doing, it's going to be out there, it's going to be on the happenings list or whatever.
Yeah. And I think Ash is planning on having some sort of public event installation at the end of the academic year. And she also said that she's not so much interested in artist faculty reaching out to her, but she is interested in people in the hard sciences connecting with her, which is pretty exciting. The work that she's doing with solar energy is really cool. So and sound. So
okay.
Yeah, she
Well, I'm
wants
gonna
to
reach out
connect
to her.
across the river.
That's really cool. Yeah.
Heather, there's a question in the chat.
Yeah.
So who wants to answer that?
Yeah, I guess it says, and any one of the cluster leaders could answer this. you know, the new clusters sound fantastic and exciting. What should we do if we are in one cluster and wonder if something we are developing or planning is synergistic with another cluster? Is it appropriate to reach out to other cluster leads to connect, if not in their cluster, is the question. And please, other questions, if you have them, please just type them in, or we can unmute you if you so wish. But is any of the cluster leaders have a thought on that?
I mean, I would just say that you know, some of us are in multiple clusters, so yeah, I think that's how you build synergy.
Okay. Yeah, I wonder if there's like even seminar series that we could develop, right? Because I'm not only doing this, but I'm also in the urban sustainability and environmental health cluster, and we're developing a seminar series and like just thinking interdisciplinarity, like, right, just thinking how we could connect together. Yeah, I think we should maybe do more talking with each other, probably, if you know, we're not Ben and we're in multiple clusters already, like we're not sure, right, what's going on. I wanted to ask Toko too, like, what if somebody thinks that they may be able to help in terms of a workshop on community participatory based research? They just reach out to you, or I think there's some people with those skills that I might be able to recommend, just as a thought, the community leaders.
Yes, definitely. I have some names in the list. I think, Heather, you and I kind of discussed like a year ago, but I'm always looking, and so that, you know, when we plan, we can plan and we can develop multidisciplinary way, and that'll be wonderful. So thank you.
Okay. Yeah, and it's right. It's good, right, to hear it from the community perspective too, right? Like,
Yes,
well, how do they
really.
view this, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then Kazuko, I just wondered, you know, because Peter Felton sort of inspired that cluster in a way. I mean, I know you were doing work like this before that. I just wondered, is it a thought to bring in more speakers like that for your cluster?
Yeah, I think that would be wonderful. And so we have been thinking, Suzanne and I had been thinking about contacting the Center for Learning and Teaching down in Ann Arbor to see if some of their folks could help us think through how to conduct evidence-based research on persistence and mattering. And so certainly bringing in other experts from around the country would be really helpful for us. So if people have suggestions, please let me know.
That's right, absolutely. Okay, and then if people have questions, you know, they should ask them. But you know, I do want to mention that this is something I know that we'll announce too. But you know, a U of M-Flint, U of M Dearborn seminar series is in the planning stages right now, just to get collaboration across those campuses, right? To see if and this is like open to a lot of different areas, you know, not just STEM, you know, but a lot of different areas based on the strengths of our campuses and what our faculty have to contribute. So that will be announced soon. At this point, I'm just wondering if people have more questions for the research cluster leaders or anything about the research clusters. They can type it in or.
So Heather, I'll make
Go
a
ahead.
comment. So first of all, thanks to the three leaders. It was wonderful. It was just really wonderful to hear about the work that you in Kazuko's case you are about to do, but in Ben's and Toko's area, the work that is being done. And Ben is very impressive. I just loved your slides, but I know there's so much behind the slides. So the point I want to make is that, as you probably know, or you might have heard, in passing, the university is preparing for a capital campaign, right? And this is a 3-campus. The entire university is going to do it. So we, UM-Flint, has to think about our themes, major themes that we will be doing the fundraising around. And as I was listening to all 3, and I know you have 2 more that will get a chance, it's an excellent opportunity, really excellent opportunity for us to create, these themes around which UM-Flint will do the fundraising. So it has multiple benefits that we are coalescing around research and scholarships in interdisciplinary clusters. Not only it helps the scholarship profile of the institution, helps our undergraduate students, informs our teaching, but it also helps in the fundraising because donors increasingly want to fund areas of interest. And these are areas which I think will appeal to all donors. So thank you for that. And we'll see. The public phase of the campaign is still a ways out, a year and a half maybe or so. So as much progress that we can do and create the narratives. So all of this will be in the domain of Vice Chancellor Sherry Schrader, but we will create narratives, we'll create brochures, we'll create some digital markups, and then just go out and see what we can raise. So thank you. It's wonderful.
And just one thought on that is that Michaela's done a great job, and our communication intern in ORED putting together these websites for the research clusters. And I know that that's provided exposure outside of the university, right? But we'll also plan on doing stories on each of the cluster and their progress and updates. So that messaging can get out there. And then it looks like Hiba Toko has the name of a person in community participatory research, an expert so she has that for you that she can give. So this is perfect, right? To find out these things.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Andy mentions, right, the donors may also, be interested in the synergy between the Riverbank Park area and the A+C space, Riverbank Arts, and the CIT on the north side of the river. Yes, and right, that, the next phase of the Flint River Restoration Project is going to go right through there too. So that piece, I think, would also, hopefully would synergize in the work you're doing there for the Arts plus Culture cluster. Okay. And then of course we've got part of the new state park, actually, Chevy Commons, right? These are all things, right, that hopefully synergize with the clusters and some of the work that they mentioned. Oh yeah. Okay. So if there's no more questions or comments, we will let you guys have a nice weekend, hopefully this weekend. And we just appreciate hearing all the work of the research clusters. And again, if you're interested, please contact us, right? Contact them directly, contact ORED, we can get you in touch. Or if you even have your own idea, let us know. We'd love to hear it. Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you.